Tonight we have wonderful guest speakers with us. As I mentioned, our topic is the Stop Asian Hate. And it has been a concerning topic for the last couple of years, unfortunately. And we have great guest speakers, including Tai Ngo Shaw from CNY uniform company, plus the New Americans and many other hats that he wears. We also have Chief Buckner with us and Jai Subedi from the New American Forum. So we have a whole list of wonderful speakers tonight. But before we start, we would like to show a quick little video about our center, that the ones that who are maybe just first time getting know to our organization, that you'll have a list of activities we have done in last calendar year. And then we'll come back and start our conversations. So give me 1 second to start our video. So as you can see, even though we had the challenge of the pandemic, we still didn't stop that. I was so proud of our members, especially last week during the Thanksgiving break. The members of our weekend school students, they visited local neighborhood firefighter stations, because even though it was a Thanksgiving, they were still serving for the community. So we just gave them a little cookies and then gave them a little thank you cards. And then our ladies club has been doing the virtual cooking classes for the community. We have been doing picnics during the summertime. So we are kind of having some challenges, but still we were able to continue our activities, and we are hoping that next year we'll be back to our regular operations after the pandemic gets a little bit less effective down the road. So again, tonight our main topic is stop the Asian hate. That we have a board member, Tony Bartlett, in our center, and he spent his life talking about the nonviolence. And part of his theory is also every time a community or a country has some kind of a crisis or challenge, they always need to find a scapegoat to be able to blame everything onto them, and then trying to as if that's the solution or something like that. And unfortunately, when the pandemic has hit as a worldwide challenge for everybody, a lot of people died, and so many lives has been lost, and a lot of people got sick. And immediately the Asian Americans has become the scapegoat, unfortunately. And it was also kind of amplified through the media and some politics and some local leaders. And a lot of Asians got hurt in the process, even though they had nothing to do with it. And this is not a new challenge that many minorities and other people went through some scapegoating. And Asian Americans have other history throughout the United States history that they have been going through that. So tonight we would like to talk about that, and we have wonderful, again, guest speakers to be able to give us some ideas and thoughts and how to build a better community, especially for the Syracuse area and Central New York area. So we are so honored to have them with us. We have a quick little video that you would like to share that was prepared a couple months ago to talk about this topic. And I believe they'll kind of set the tone about what we are trying to achieve here tonight. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to be sharing one more video on this topic, and then we'll be having our guest speaker, Chief Buckner, to do opening remarks for us. So give me one more second.
On March 16, 2021, 6 women were among the victims of a horrific shooting in Georgia. They were grandmothers, mothers, daughters, sisters, and wives. They were killed because they were Asian. But anti-Asian violence is not new. It is part of our collective memory.
As the families in Georgia mourn and memorialize the lives of their loved ones, we remember the history of racism our community has faced. In 1875, the Page Act passes, banning Chinese women from entering the United States. It's the first federal law to limit immigration.
In 1882, the Chinese Exclusion Act passes, prohibiting Asian immigrants from becoming U.S. citizens. Its discriminatory practices survived for over 80 years.
We apologize for the technical problem again. And it looks like there was a little box in the middle of the video. So let me try to stop sharing and start sharing one more time. That these are now unfortunately the challenges of the new virtual meetings that we are going through right now.
On March 16, 2021, 6 women were among the victims of a horrific shooting in Georgia. They were grandmothers, mothers, daughters, sisters, and wives. They were killed because they were Asian. But anti-Asian violence is not new. It is part of our collective memory.
As the families in Georgia mourn and memorialize the lives of their loved ones, we remember the history of racism our community has faced. In 1875, the Page Act passes, banning Chinese women from entering the United States. It's the first federal law to limit immigration.
In 1882, the Chinese Exclusion Act passes, prohibiting Asian immigrants from becoming U.S. citizens. Its discriminatory practices survive for over 80 years. In 1885, 28 Chinese Americans are lynched and murdered in Rock Springs, Wyoming.
1930. Across California, hundreds of Filipino-American farm workers injured and scores killed by rioters. 1942. 120,000 Japanese Americans incarcerated in concentration camps by our own government.
1982. Vincent Chin, beat to death by two men with a baseball bat right before his wedding. Mistaken for being Japanese, accused of stealing their jobs. 1989. 5 Vietnamese and Cambodian children killed, more than 30 wounded. Stockton, California.
In the wake of September 11, 2001, attacks against Muslims and South Asians surge. 2012, 6 Sikh Americans killed in a temple in Oak Creek, Wisconsin.
This past year, almost 4,000 incidents of anti-Asian violence, including murders of our elders simply walking in their own neighborhoods.
Memory is the antidote to death. Solidarity is the answer to silence.
As activist Valerie Kaur once asked, what if this is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb?
Today, we birth something new, knowing it's up to all of us to keep each other safe and shine a light together.
I would like to repeat that last sentence one more time, that maybe this is not the darkness in the tomb, but it is the darkness in the womb, that something new can have a birth out of this and we can have some new beginnings. That's kind of our goal, to have conversations and have some fresh starts to build a better future for our next generation, for our children, that they do not have to deal with the hate towards the others, that we can be all together. So that's what we are trying to discuss about tonight. And as I mentioned, that we are tonight honored with the presence of our police chief Buckner, that he was kind enough to accept our invitation, and he wanted to do the opening remarks for us for this conversation. So I'd like to invite him now to come and talk to all of us about his perspective. So good evening, Chief Buckner. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So first of all, thank you, Tim, for inviting me to this very worthy event and topic. I think that we certainly all are disturbed by some of the things that we're seeing in our nation, specifically, for this conversation in targeting members of our Asian community. From a police perspective, I would like to talk about some of the things that we can do together in an attempt to try to prevent these kinds of things from occurring in our community. And the first is some of the things that you're doing now, and that is understanding. I think people need to be educated on the topic, to know that, that we all have a responsibility to do our parts to try to prevent these things from occurring, speaking up and speaking out when we see these things occurring, whether it be in the school or something occurring in our community. We have a responsibility to come forward. We cannot, hold individuals accountable for these things when there is, in some instances, a lack of reporting. The next thing would be, who are the community stakeholders for the Asian community? And with all of our communities, specifically those from New American, it is important that we have those stakeholders, that we know who are the voices and the individuals that are trusted by those communities, so that when we have a crisis, we're not starting from zero. And I am a firm believer in the relationship that we have preceding a critical incident has the biggest determining factor as to the breadth of or the scope of what's going to happen with that, because of that pre-existing relationship. We can't be starting those relationships at 2 a.m. in the morning when we learn about something catastrophic going on in our community. So meetings such as this that we're having when there's not something going on are the kinds of things that we need to continue to do, so that those relationships are strong and pre-existing. The next thing is that there's no question that in our Asian community, one of the biggest challenges that we have is it's a very underreported community. Some of that is some of the historical views and things that the community has from their native country. Some of that is things that they have experienced in our country as far as being mistreated by individuals, including the police. But I will say that it's very, very important that we report crimes, that when we report unprofessional or inappropriate behavior on the part of law enforcement. I can't fix or address those kinds of things if I don't know about it. So it's important that our community understands that not reporting those things continues to make you a victim of those kinds of crimes or unprofessional behavior. And I'm certainly not naive to think that that we can not sometimes be a part of the problem. I certainly don't believe that that is the norm, but certainly I know enough about what's going on in our world to say that sometimes those things occur. Then lastly, I would say that, when we look at our agency, it's been clear and well documented that we are not reflective of the community that we serve. One of the best ways in order to gain power in the community is to ensure that the key pillars of our society, whether that be education, business, government, public safety, that those entities are reflective of the actual community that we're serving. With that in mind, I will ask that you all do everything you can to become a community partner with us to help us recruit individuals from the Asian community, from the New American community, so that you are represented in our law enforcement agency. Because I'll give you a quick story as I close. A lady by the name of Hazel Walker was a recruiter for Louisville, Kentucky, at my college for a career day. She was an African-American female, and at the time that majoring in law enforcement, this was in the early 90s, was still relatively a new thing. And I was an African-American in the room, and there were very few of us that were in the room, and she whispered something to me. And she said to me that we have an African-American assistant chief. Now, the reason that she knew that that would resonate with me is because one of a handful of Black kids in this room being recruited by these agencies, she knew that I would see that as I will have an opportunity if I go to that agency. So the fact that when people can see someone that looks like them, where you can remove those language barriers or those cultural barriers, or have an understanding, that tells you the importance of making sure that we are reflective of the community as far as in gender and culture and race and ethnicity, all of those things. But we can't expect the police to be the only one beating that drum. That has to come from the community in order for that to truly have traction with the people that we're trying to attract. So I would just say, let's educate ourselves, get on the playing field to make sure that we are engaged and involved, hold us accountable as a public safety entity when we're not doing our jobs, and then let's all have it as a community responsibility to make sure that this agency is reflective of everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Buckner, that everything you say comes from experience that we really appreciate. Again, your leadership, especially giving a voice to the voiceless, that like you said, they are not reported, they are not talking, or sometimes they are not getting the right connections. For example, tonight we have an academic professor from the OCC College, Jimmy Tran, with us, and he wrote in the chat saying that he was trying to contact the police one time. One of the crime that was a hate crime happened to him, but he had to go to a different department because the one department couldn't help him, and they said they could only record it, but they can't respond to it. So it is definitely an important initiative that we need to be able to keep raising awareness and keep building connections within the police and the community so they can feel heard and they can be connected. So we really appreciate your effort on these areas, and you are always present anytime things happen, that you are there to support them. So thank you again for being with us tonight. And we'll be coming back to you in a couple of minutes that we have a service community service award for one of the members of the police department for Syracuse, and we'll be appreciating their efforts that they have done, especially for the Asian American community. So thank you again, appreciate it. We'll be back to you.
Thank you.
Okay, so to continue our program, tonight I have the privilege of introducing our keynote speaker. It is not just the introduction. I would like to share his story because it is possibly an example story for many new Americans in our community, and we can all relate to it. So I would like to introduce, and I'm sorry if I'm making any mistake about pronouncing the names and the locations, but I would like to introduce Tai Ngo Shaw. He is a refugee, a community leader, a business owner, entrepreneur, a father, an innovator, and a public speaker. Tai came to the United States in 1982 at the age of 10. His departure from Vietnam was not planned, and the boat was not strong. That day, he grabbed a chance at an uncertain future and reached out for an American dream that came true. He lives in upstate New York, where he has raised 2 children and created a successful business selling uniforms and accessories for medical and culinary professions. Tai is known for his resilience and generosity and leadership. Tai's early life in South Vietnamese village was a constant struggle. He was born near the beginning of the Vietnam War, the second oldest male of 6 children. For the first 7 years of his life, his father was absent, and he was initially raised by his grandparents in a village located at the mouth of the Mekong River near the Cambodian border. His early memories were sounds of thunder and damage from constant bombing and warfare in the region due to the presence of nearby US military base. After the war ended in 1975, his life was dominated by fear because of the arbitrary and brutal way the North Vietnamese government. However, Tai held on to an early dream of going to America to lead a better life. One day, Tai found his aunt about to leave Vietnam on a small boat with 10 other people he didn't know. He ran home to say a quick goodbye to his mother. He got back in time to join his aunt, but the boat was not strong enough for 5 days of rough seas. They were boarded and brutalized by pirates who left them adrift. Another boat offered them to tow them, but the stress damaged the hull, and they had to transfer into the other boat, where they were again mistreated. The group finally reached the coast of Thailand on June 5th, 1981, and were placed in a small camp with no resources and then transferred to a larger refugee camp 30 days later. Food was scarce. Then Tai's aunt was transferred to another camp. Tai was placed in a camp for unclaimed children. In January 1982, he was sent to the United States, where a remarkable Buffalo family adopted him. Joseph and Diane Shaw became his American parents. Tom and Lisa became his new brother and sisters. When Tai arrived in US, he spoke no English and his family spoke no Vietnamese. His American family spoke no Vietnamese. Tai worked hard to learn English, and he was soon able to enter the 5th grade. He learned quickly, soaking up new knowledge, and began to excel in school. He became active in athletics and other extracurricular activities. After graduation, he went to the college first at SUNY Alfred and then Alfred University, where he earned a bachelor's degree in psychology and business. In college, Tai took every opportunity to join any organization he could in order to learn everything. He was also worked part-time at a halfway house. This extremely high level of activity and constant intellectual engagement has been a hallmark of his adult life. And now currently he is leading initiatives around Syracuse, like the Box of Blessings, and then New American Forum, the World Refugee Day during the summertime. He also has multiple businesses, as I mentioned. So we are so happy to hear from Tai tonight, and thank you so much for joining us for tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm honored to be here. I'm looking around in the Zoom here. I know everyone here. Thank you for the great introductions. I'm humble, so I don't have to talk much about my life. Tim, you did it all. So I'm going to focus on the video from the beginning. Speak of everything, starting from 1875. You know, the Chinese and the Irish have been segregated, have been unfairly treated for many years. So the Asian hate not just only began in March here. It's been many years ago. But as of March 16, is amplified because due to also the Black Lives Matter movement. I was honored to attending the candlelight virtual in the Hanover Square, and that was a great moment, very touching. We see so many community come out and support the Asian hate. So I'm gonna address a couple of things here. A lot of us say the word Asian, so we assuming somebody had black hair and slanted eye, right? So there are two different kinds of Asian. There's American Asian who are born here, and there's also American Asian that we come from an Asian descent and become a citizen and proudly be American. And I'm happen to be that second one, and I'm very proud. As a young child, I would live in a very poor country, a third world country. You know, Vietnam is still a small country that under communism, and you know, under communism, we don't have much to offer and to say to the government. We don't give an honor to sit here in front of have the chief sitting here next to us unless we are some kind of a higher position in the government. So America is I love America in every sense. I love America in every ways. And this is my country now. I've been a citizen since 1992. I was fortunate enough that been adopted by the American family. They have taught me many things. And from the eyes of the American life and an Asian background, I have learned so much into life. Now that I have children, when I have children, I see things even more clear. And then the older I get, I'm now 50 years old, and at 50, you see life in a different level, right? And when you're young, you don't pay attention too much. When you have children and you have kids, your life changing because now you're thinking about legacy, heritage, family values, right? And what you do is affecting your family. What you do, not just what, a typical dad, we go out, we be a breadwinner, we come home and we feed our children. That's not enough. We have to educate our kids. We have to let them know where we come from, so they appreciate what we have been, the hardship we have, and we transfer it to our kids. It's not to make them feel bad, that they're born into this refugee kid's family, but also understand the struggle that we've been through. And maybe from that, they learn from that, they can be a better themselves. And maybe, the lucky that I have made it to America to my boat trip. They identify people like us as a boat people, right? So my children hear a lot of these stories, and my kids are I think they're pretty well-rounded. I brought them to many community events, right? So you have sent me a few questions here, Tim, and I'm going to address those, right?
Absolutely.
What contribution of the American to build environment in this country, right? So I came to Syracuse in 1999, and I opened up a retail business, and then after that, I became a real estate agent, and this is why where the word contribution to America is about is as a real estate agent. My most proudest moment is I'm helping my fellow countrymen purchase a home, because that's showing pride. This is country. This is going to be our country. They own a part of America, right? After they buy one house, they buy a second house. They invest. They buy another one. They bring their family over here, and so on. It pretty much. Syracuse is the richest refugee settlement here. For example, 1848, and you see the term 1848. A lot of people don't know that 1848 represent. Well, 1848 is when the German came to America as a refugee, and they settled here in Syracuse. And they created Syracuse. They created the government in Syracuse. That's where when you see the city of Syracuse send out an email say 1848, well, that's what it means. And then of course the German, the Irish, the Polish, and the Italian and the Irish, they all settled here. But in 1979, the Vietnamese community came to Syracuse, and they are well embraced. We right now. For a refugee, I would say, as the Vietnamese community president, we are the big brothers of the refugees, I guess, if we may say that, So the Vietnamese community here are very well established. They have now up to 4 or maybe even 5 generations. The majority, the first generation who are here now are elder. They are in the high 70, 80, and 90. And they still exist. The Vietnamese community right now have the center. We have a center, and we are very, very well active, and we're very proud to be here. As you know, a lot of we have 2 major events that we do each year. Called the Vietnamese New Year. It's called TED, and for those who attend, you see how well attended our people showed up to support. That's our cultural heritage day. So we are establishing, and the second generation and third generation children go to school, and they better to educate themselves. We have doctors, we have dentists, we have pharmacy, we have nurses. We have a lot of those in our community here. Our footing of the Vietnamese community, we have lawyers, we have accountants. You can't tell, but a lot of us here. So Asian, right? Now to go back to the Asian minute, and when you say Asian, the word Asia is huge. That including Chinese community, the Pakistan, India. Those are Asian. The islanders are the Philippines, the Malaysia, right? Those are also considered Asian. But most people think Asian and people look like me. It's not true at all. So okay. Let's see what else. In issues that our community facing right now, about a year back, we met with Chief Buckner regarding to our community being targeted. For example, the people who target our community, they focus on three things that they do. One, the language barrier, and the women who our ladies, they carry purses, and a lot of time, to carry expensive purses. Inside their expensive purses, they have jewelry, money, cash. So they carry everything on their hand. So these people understand and recognize that, and they study it. So what they do is they will wait outside of a grocery store, and they will snatch their purses. They will knock them down and steal it. Or they will wait for them to come home from work. A lot of the nail technician or any job, they know what time they're coming home. They wait for them, and they will rob them and they're in the driveway, or they will break in and intimidate them and rob them. So, and the main reason why they do that to our community is this. So I'm saying these points here that will vibrate to all your community out there, especially the New American community. The first factor is the language barrier, right? And the second factor is the intimidation, okay? Because they knew that these people are not speaking English and they don't know the procedure. If they call 911, yes, the police react, but then the third factor is after intimidation, it is retaliation here. And that's the third part that a lot of this crime are not reported, Chief Buckner. Those are the three reasons why a lot of this crime are not reported. Because they are afraid if they call the police and the police will come and do the report and they get arrested, what happens is they go back and they're going to do it more to them. Now, these kind of intimidation is carry on for years. And this is the reason why they're afraid to call the police. So, right, and as you know, in March 16, all this happened. So the big movement is Asian hate. I personally work with the police department. We would, I would go with the chief, not the chief, but captain to the north side area. I personally invite them go to each one of our businesses and speak to the owner and let them know that they are not alone. It's okay for you to call 911 and report what happened. Because a lot of time, all these thugs will come in front of their store and try to intimidate them or go in and steal from them. Yeah, sure, they're petty, the little things, but if they were to call the police, it happened over and over and over again. And this had to be stopped. So with that one situation, there's 6 of them, the whole gang. So we worked with the police and we did, it did stop for a while. So the gang stopped. Now, there's the latest a couple months ago, I don't know if you guys read it in the newspaper, there's another group, there's 6 or 8 more, they do the same thing, but they didn't do it within the city, and they go outside of the city. So the second and third generation of the Vietnamese business people move out to this city. Now they target them. What they do is they go into study of their business. They know exactly what time they leave, go to work, and what time they come home. So they will go to their business. They will slash their tires. So now it's slowing the business owner to come home. Let's say, for example, they close at 8. They slash their tire. They have to call AAA. It's going to take an hour or 2. So they went to their house and they robbed them as they get in their car to go home. I think it's about 200 cases. Well, thankfully, they caught, I think, majority of them, 6 of them out of 8 of them. And they still go looking for the other 2. So I have been posting in my Facebook to my community, let them aware that, number one, close all your windows, right? And lock your cars, because sometimes people have their remote control in their car. They can open their garage, and when they leave their house, leave a light on. So why? So they thinking somebody is home. And then if it's a business, they leave it at night. Be more vigilant, look around, and see who's followed them home. So that's what happened, and we still working at trying to improve that as a community wise. And we're working with the city of Syracuse, the sheriff department, and the whole entire county, this had to be stopped, right? Those are the three common factors I told you guys. That's how most of our Asian have been targeted. And the other one here, okay. So another question you ask here, as the CNY community, how can we support Asian American and build an equity in society? So here what I would suggest to all the community out there, besides the Turkish community, get involved. Get involved means to work together with the state, federal, the city, the county, and organization that are servicing the new American, like CYO and the Faith Work, RISE, Hope Print, Northside Living Center, right? Educate our people. Take self-defenses. Teach them, because a lot of the time we're vulnerable. We left our window open in the summertime because that's how we do it in our country. Because we don't, most of our houses don't have air conditioning. So that's how we live, right? So if we begin to educate ourselves and get involved and get connected to all the resources and pass the word forward, so this way we can protect ourselves. Talk to businesses, have them report in. I saw a remark in there, Jimmy. I saw your remarks there. Please contact me. I will look into this issue. The norm right now, Chief, is the police doesn't care. These are the norm that from our Asian community, and I'm speaking loudly to you, Chief, that they feel that they call 911 and nothing happening. Now, it's all fairness to a community, to a new American community. It's not that the police don't care. They are understaffed and they are overworked. But Chief, somehow we have to get together with a group of not just Asian community, all community, because if they targeted the Asian community now, what's next? The African community. Because why? The other three common factors are going to be coming the same way. Because they're not speaking the language barrier. So, so that's what I had to say. I have one quote that I would like to show this. Can you guys see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Jerry, can you read that for me, Jimmy? You mind?
Diversity is having a seat at the table. Inclusion is having a voice, and belongingness is having that voice to be heard.
Yes, thank you, Jimmy. So I'm hoping this message will go out to everybody. The theme of this year is about diversity, but diversity is not just about black and brown, right? I call it M&Ms, because why? People like us, I consider M&Ms. There's more than just black and brown out there, right? So I will end this. I think my time is up. And I have three more things I have to say. I'm calling NAF, and I'm asking the community out there, join NAF so that we can be stronger, we have a voice, and get all our community work together as one versus separate ourselves. This county we are more separated than we think we are. And let's work together with organizations out there and work together with the city and the county. Let's have our voice to be heard, guys. So for me to sum this, and again, Tim, I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to express this. I'm also now, I joined the Rotary Club. I'm also the spokesperson for the DEI, equity, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I'm going to end with this. Again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you guys listening. I'm yapping away here. Diversity is an action. Inclusivity is a culture. And belonging is the feeling. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Tai. I appreciate it that you are in the community, so you have one-on-one experience that with every business, every house that you touch with them and you're in communication with them. So your feedback and your ideas is always valuable. And as part of our event tonight, as we have announced before, that we'll be also giving out awards to the exceptional individuals who has done, above and beyond service to the community, especially the Asian American community in our area. And I would like you now to ask to present our next award recipient that was nominated by the New American Forum. That I believe Barry is online right now, that she can also be with us to join. Let me quickly show our awards that we have already prepared. That those awards will be normally presented when we have a regular dinners that we'll be presenting right now by hand. But unfortunately, we cannot at the moment. But we will be going to address by address, and with a little kind of a holiday gift basket, we will be giving those awards to the recipients for being thankful for their service for the community. And we also have an award for Tai yourself, because we know how much you have been the community servant for years and making the lives better of the people around you, helping them in many different ways. So we'll be present this award to you and the member of your community after this event. But I would like now you to tell us about the story of Barry in your organization, that we can also give the award to her.
Thank you. And before you do that, can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
I'm calling the New American community. Please get involved and be proud of who you are, and don't worry about what you look like. Okay, and the moment if you let what you look like intimidate by other people, and that's where everything come in. Be proud and be kind. And that's my last one.
Thank you, Tai. So tell us about Barry.
Okay, you want me to talk about Barry? Okay.
Yes, so we can, the participants can know why she's getting the award from us tonight.
So I'm personally nominating Barry, and here's why. I met Barry in 2017 when I joined NAF, and we do World Refugee Day. She had been there for every single event, not just the Vietnamese event. She's been there for NAF. She's been for World Refugee Day. She's been every event there is. She's there. She's not just there just to be there. She clean up. She you name it, she do it. She is, to me, is a true hero, and she does have the love for our New America. Not like, again, not just the Vietnamese community. She involved in my community too, but she loved our community. And for the past 20 months, she and I have been doing this blessing box, and she's here every single Wednesday, and we go shopping, we go get food, and we serve our community. And you guys have to come here on Wednesday from 12 to 2. You have to see her with our New American people, the way that she serves them, she gives them dignity and treat them with respect and understand who they are. She know them by name, right? And she know exactly what they need. And if the family's sick, she know who the family is. And to me, that's a dedication. And no one else that I'd rather to give this award to than Barry. Barry, I thank you for have been with me for this many years since and always there, always understand me and understand the needs of our community. Is the gratitude go to you, and I'm thank you, and I think you deserve this.
I'd like to say thank you again to Barry for her service every day for the community. So can you hear us, Barry? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Please do want to say a couple words about the service also you provide for the community.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank Rise for honoring me. I want to thank Tai for introducing me, for our teamwork, and for his friendship. And I want to thank the NAF leaders for welcoming me, appreciating my efforts, and letting me learn about their cultures and them as people. I first got into contact with New Americans here in Syracuse, actually with the Somali Bantu community, but that's another story. But specifically with NAF started when Tai invited me to join the World Refugee Day community. And I joined because I saw the New Americans leading. It wasn't do-gooders. It was the New Americans leading. It was for New Americans by New Americans. And I wanted to support that in any way I could. And I have done a number of things. I help with the vaccinations for the Vietnamese community to help them protect their lives. With the deaf New Americans from Nepali, I helped them to ensure that people in power heard their voice. I pushed for interpreters in the city and the county services to ensure that New Americans would be heard when they asked for help. I realized long ago in the days that I worked for the ACLU that if one of us is oppressed because of who we are, where our people came from, or what we look like, then everybody is oppressed. And I can't stand for that. Not here in the United States, not now, not at any time. And I recognize that this is the same sort of ignorance and hatred that led to the destruction of my mom's family in Europe and the flight of her with my grandparents to the United States as refugees. I'm a child of refugees. And so I'm sort of inclined to want to support the experiences of others. I first worked with Southeast Asian refugees in St. Louis in the 1980s, but it was the close contact and support in the work I did there with individuals and families that really led to understanding and to friendship. And here in working with NAF members and the people that come to the blessing box, I found the same sort of real human to human interaction. And it's led to the creation of true allies and friends. Now, I know you're honoring to me today, yes, and thank you, Tai. But I really should be thanking the New Americans who have welcomed me and allowed me to assist them in helping themselves and growing their strength and their visibility. You guys have helped make Syracuse a thriving, colorful, wonderful place. So I thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Appreciate it. And I wish we were there together at our center to give a round of applause for all your service you have done. Again, we are gonna be presenting your award at the blessing boxes and food pantry that we will bring over there. And I also want to mention that right now you are in a location you are currently serving at the moment. You told me that in the morning. You said that I'll be joining the event, just taking a couple minutes break from serving others and go back to serving again. So you are just right now doing live in action, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much for everything you have done for our community.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay, now we are gonna move on to our next award recipient, and for this one, I would like to now ask our Chief Buckner to introduce our next award recipient for the member of our police department. Thank you so much, Chief Buckner. Can you hear us?
All right, thank you, Tim. Sergeant Jason Tom couldn't be with us tonight, so I'll be reading our presentation letter that we put in on his behalf, and then make sure that he gets the reward. The Syracuse Police Department, along with law enforcement across the country, are facing unprecedented times. Recent high-profile events, as well as shifting perceptions of law enforcement, have made a tough job tougher. Subsequently, recruitment of qualified individuals has become increasingly difficult. Sergeant Jason Tom, a 12-year veteran of the Syracuse Police Department, has been assigned to the recruitment section since March of 2020. Since taking the assignment, Sergeant Tom has been instrumental in overhauling the department's recruitment efforts. He has taken steps to ensure we are reaching the right candidates for the job. Sergeant Tom, in collaboration with the U.S. Department of Justice and retired Police Chief Patrick Oliver, completed a full assessment of our current recruitment practices and has identified strategies to help us continue to improve. Sergeant Tom has expanded the department's recruitment team to include a diverse group of officers from all divisions of the department. He has also expanded our recruiting footprint to include numerous colleges and military installations throughout the state. Sergeant Tom has also increased our recruitment efforts at many local cultural events in the city of Syracuse. Additionally, Sergeant Tom has created numerous positive relationships with community members to facilitate the education of residents on the process of becoming a Syracuse police officer. Sergeant Tom's strong passion for the job and recruiting qualified candidates is demonstrated in the work he has done and continues to do each and every day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Buckner, that nominating him and also bringing highlight his services he has done. Because as you have mentioned, that recruiting for the department is so critical. So every different voice and community can be a part of developing a better police department. And we are so grateful for Sergeant Tom's efforts on this. Let me show one more time that we will be bringing this over to the police department by next week with a little holiday basket and giving to the Sergeant Tom. And we'll be happy that maybe a couple months down the road, we can be at our center together, have a Turkish coffee together, and then meet him personally and hear his stories that he built through our community there.
Thank you.
Thank you again for Chief Buckner. I appreciate it. Now for the last award recipient for tonight, we are gonna go to our namesake. That a lot of people get confused in our community that there are actually two RISE in our community. Ours is the CNY RISE Center with the acronym Respect, Inspiration, Service, and Empathy. That's kind of our goal to build in our community with the motto of we rise by lifting others. But there is another rise in the community that we are proud of, that they are refugee and immigrant self-empowerment. And they help the new Americans who come into the country from day one to throughout their every phase of their life, from healthcare to school enrollments to translations and hospital visits, whatever they need, they do over there. So tonight we are honored to have their healthcare, like a case director, Zishan James with us, that he's gonna be introducing their award nomination for one of their members. So Zishan, can you hear us?
Yes, and thank you for the clarity and this opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Thank you for the clarity that we are refugee and immigrant self-empowerment, and you are RISE Center. So yeah, people get confused, but we all are rising. We all, immigrants, refugees, asylees, immigrants, we all are rising, and we all need more rise. We need to rise together. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And the person, my organization, Refugee and Immigrant Self-Empowerment, our director, Executive Director Haji Adan, and Director of Operation, they all mutually agreed on this name, which I'm going to present this award to. It's Mamta Sharma. She is, I don't know her origin now, because she is serving Burmese, Nepalese, Bhutanese, and Thai. So she is serving every community, but she's from Bhutan originally. I just learned it, and she was raised in a refugee camp somewhere. She will be able to tell more about, but the way she served the community, that is remarkable. That is, everybody in the senior administration, senior management, they all decided that she should get this award on our behalf, because she has so much to do in the community. It's not about what they want to achieve. It's all about the customers, the client, the people they serve. And it's more of service, which we see in them. So congratulations to Mamta Sharma. And thank you very much for this opportunity that you are recognizing her services for the community.
Thank you. I appreciate Zishan. Give a good round of applause for Mamta for her services. Can you hear us, Mamta? If you'd like to hear from you also.
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I'm just honored to be here today. I did not know there was an event like this before. This is my first introduction to CNY Rise, so I'm absolutely honored. I know many of you. Hi to my fellow board from BCS, Jay Suvedi, and everybody else. We have worked together at least a couple of times. I'm just happy to see the support and the community we have out there. I think during the pandemic, it was really hard to feel that connection of really having this. So I absolutely miss it. And this is just wonderful to know that this is out there. Like Tai mentioned, there's a lot of disconnect in our city, in our county. So it's an amazing feeling for a young person to know that this is out there. So first of all, thank you for that. Thank you for that feeling. It's absolutely wonderful. About me, I don't know, honestly, if I deserve this because I have just started working. I graduated out of college in 2018. So I'm doing as much as I can. I serve the Bhutanese community as a secretary. I help with our community. We're trying to revamp our community and see what we can do to help each other out. I work at Rise as the care manager right now, helping our clients with their healthcare needs, connecting them to doctors and such. I don't think it's that much of a community service personally, because for me, it's just, it seems like what they need and it's my job. So I just do it. But it's such a rewarding thing to know that somebody out there needed this and I was able to provide it. And I'm just so happy to know that there's a community out there to support this. So I'm honored. I'm really hoping to get to know CNY Rise more and work with New American Forum. I really try my best to bring the young people in. That's my personal really big goal, because I feel like I have seen really a big generation gap where my generation or the younger ones don't really understand the value of how important it is to know your roots, to really know where you're from and really kind of, I don't know, understand it, to be proud of yourself. Because if you don't accept that part of yourself, it's never going to feel whole. So, you know, that's my personal goal. And hopefully I can get more young people in and we can make this even better. So thank you so much. I'm absolutely honored to be given this award.
Thank you, Mamta. It is our honor, it's our privilege that we want to give you a big round of applause for all everything you have been doing in the community. Like you mentioned, that you recently graduated from college and you are part of the young generation also, who can be the leaders for our community, and we need leaders like you who can give voice to the people that normally they don't know how to be, raise their voice, or they are sometimes afraid of it or hesitant for it. But when they have people like you, they can trust that you can guide them through a healthcare system or, getting through school and education. I am working at the OCC and we get those students to help them to get a college degree, get a job, and our community gets stronger and stronger when we have those kind of all different voices being present in there. So we are so grateful everything you have been doing. And as I mentioned, that we'll be bringing in the award to the Rise location in Salina Street with a holiday basket. And we are looking forward to meet you in person sometime, sharing a Turkish meal together and hearing your stories also.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So they were the 3 award recipients for tonight for their service for the Asian American community. And now we are kind of getting towards to the end of our program tonight. But we have the couple closing remarks that we are so honored to have them also with us to give their ideas and perspective about how we can build a strong community, especially with the contribution of the Asian Americans, and how we can stop this hatred for the minorities and Asian Americans in our community. So tonight we have another exceptional speaker and guest with us. I call him our friend. He is a leader for our community. So we'll be now inviting Jai Subedi to give his closing remarks also, that he is so active in the community, a part of the New American Forum. He's part of the World Refugee Day during the summertime. He is part of a lot of initiatives in the community. So we'd like to hear from right now. So hello, Jai, how are you?
Thank you, team. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it's such a privilege to be here on behalf of myself, the Bhutanese community, and the New American community, as well as the Asian community. So this is really a good initiative, and we need a lot this kind of forum that more people need to be educated. And I cannot thank you enough, you, CNY Rise team, as well as the forum that you are hosting tonight, even in the Zoom. I wish we should get together at some place and have a big events, but we couldn't do it. But anyway, so this is a great event, and thank you so much. I really appreciate and thank you, Chief. We have worked with the Chief very for many years. Tai and myself have been very closely working, advocating for our own fellow Asian community, part of AAPI, as well as the national AAPI. We have worked together. And we brought this issue to the mayor, to the county executive, to the chief, and even to the federal level. We call our Congressman Katko, and we raised this issue. So this is, and more people at the grassroots level need to be educated. I see a lot of respected people here, including Beth Broadway. She's my former boss, and Interfaith has been always my family. And Turkish community, you have contributed a lot to the Interfaith. I have worked there for 8 years, and my heart still goes there every day. So this is such a good time that I see everybody here together. So thank you, all of them. I like to congratulate our 3 awardees. I have worked with Mamta. I have worked with the Sergeant Jason Tom, and the Barry is our person. So there is no word to say already. It's been already said. So so with that being said, the few things that I like to make on the closing comments. So as Tai went back and said the history, and the video was great, even reflecting myself, seeing all of those things happen from long time, even though we are fighting every day. But I think to overcome all of those, there is not greater goodness, love, and unity. We need to extend and spread the word of love and unity among us. The next thing is always, as a person that grew up in the refugee camp and being a leader in the community in Central New York and national and international, I have been to the board, couple boards that I am working internationally too. So I see these things. We are in the peace initiatives in Bhutan. The Bhutan government never allowed us to go back to our country. There's a family separation. My grandmother is there. We can't go and see her. So we are working with the White House now to create a pathway for our next generation that they can go back to their parents' birth country, right? They can go and see. But this cannot be done with the violence. This cannot be done with hate. So we are going to the different route of creating peace initiatives in Bhutan. So that's why we joined the international peace community now, and we are constantly working with the White House and Interglobal Peace Foundation to create a path to go back, take a visit, visit us to go back to our country and see where our birth country is. So we are on the mission. So this is a perfect time where we can talk about the love, unity, and togetherness. We have to always keep our personal differences on side. We always have to come together. I know in many of the events that has gone over the years, where there was a Muslim hate, where there was a Muslim ban, when there was a Sikh temple issue. So all of those, I have been there. We have been there, and we did our own candlelights for the supporting our Asian fellow members. So always the people come with the heart of love and unity and supporting. So I think we have to keep that theme together, and Central New York is our home. So and great ally with the Turkish community, now the CNY rise. So this is a great place to start with this one, and I think this is a great start already. And we should always seek for peace and humility, as it gives relief to our own soul and adds meaning and happiness to our lives, right? And finally, not only Bible says, all of our faith traditions and books and the Holy Scripture says, like, love your neighbor as the same as you love yourself, right? So I think there is nothing more than that. So, and I truly appreciate team. We have to get together, you and myself too, but we are hoping as a NAF from our NAF behalf, from our Asian behalf, we like to work together with the CNY Rise and go together. So thank you for this opportunity. And I think next speaker is you are going to invite, but I can't wait to hear from Bath Broadway. Thank you, team.
Absolutely. And we are so grateful to you, Jai, being here tonight. I know it's a late Friday evening that you have, time with your family. And I remember that you mentioned about your daughter is practicing with the soccer group, that my daughter is right now outside also. She is practicing herself, that we see each other sometimes on the soccer field. Again, we are so grateful for your leadership for our community. You have served many years at the Interfaith Works, touched and helped many families in the Syracuse area, and you are still continuing being a leader in our community. And also you mentioned about working with the White House to, bring better life opportunities for other people, especially from the Asian area. That is what I love about this country, that many of us right now in the Zoom meeting, that we have come to this country from different ways and backgrounds, and some of them came through refugee camps and everything, but we can still have a voice in the city council. We can still have a voice at the White House to raise issues and make life better for anybody else out there. This is what's great about this country, that you can have those opportunities. So thank you so much for Jai being with us tonight, and we look forward to get together and drink a Turkish coffee and hear more of your stories also. Thank you. And as Jai mentioned, that our next closing remark will be from the president of Interfaith Works. She is our lovely friend, and she has been part of the friendship events for years with us, and she's an inspirational leader for all of us. And I believe right now I don't need the introduction for the Interfaith Works, because you all know how much they have been doing for the community. What we heard recently, that they will be settling more than 800 people, especially coming from the Afghani families, into our community next year, that we have recently done a fundraiser campaign for them to support those Afghani families, and all those people coming from Nepal, from Bhutan, from Vietnam, from Thailand. Interfaith Works is like their first address. It's their first home to come in, and they have a wonderful staff to help them with anything they need, from setting up their houses, to buy toys for their children, to get shoes for their grandmother, whatever they need. Interfaith Works is there. So we are so happy for what they have done for our community. So I'd like to now invite Beth Broadway to do one of our closing remarks also. I think you are muted. Can you unmute yourself, Beth? There we go.
My apologies. I'm sorry. I wanted to say thank you so much for this beautiful evening, and I'm honored to be on the program with all of these wonderful people who are doing so much for Syracuse. And I want to thank you also for the amazing video. I was very touched by it. It brought tears to my eyes. And I want to thank you for sharing it with all of us. And I think it should be shown very widely across our nation as a discussion starter. And also may I offer my congratulations to Tai and to Barry and to Mamti for their recognition tonight. It's wonderful to lift people up who are doing tireless work, and these people certainly deserve that. Tim, you asked me to talk about how we can end hate towards Asian people. And the first thing we always have to do when hate is directed at somebody and people are being stereotyped, targeted, killed, violence directed at them, is we must understand our history and why stereotyping of Asians exists in America. You know, the genesis is in the U.S. was over 100 years ago, 150 years ago with the Chinese immigration, and the oppression of the people who came here to work on behalf of what was happening with the growth of America and the expansion of the nation. Many of them worked on the construction and the canals and the railroads. And what we have to face is that this kind of hate is a part of a larger and much more insidious onion. I call it the onion of racism. It's got layers and layers and layers and layers. And as some of the other speakers have said, we have seen this kind of targeting of people as immigrants, Muslims, Africans, and we have seen African Americans targeted, Latinos, and so on it goes. It's like the onion just keeps adding layers and layers onto it. And our country, we have to face, has a sorry history of only accepting people if they can contribute to the workforce, and often exploiting the people until they are no longer needed. And this was certainly true of the Chinese immigration, which needed workers on the railroads and canals and other labor-based work. But remember what the man in this film said, is that women were not allowed to migrate. Asian women were not allowed to migrate to this country, and people of Asian descent could not become citizens until 80 years after the first Asian immigrants came. That is a form of targeting of people. They could not enjoy the safety net of citizenship. They could not own their own land. They could not have the vote, and on and on. Several things have happened after this, and the U.S. actually has a very harsh history, a very anti-communism agenda. And this has further exacerbated the anti-Asian feelings in our nation. The war with Japan, starting with the Pearl Harbor bombings, gave permission for the U.S., as one of the women in the video said, for the U.S. to take people away from their homes, their businesses, their communities, to be interned internally in the United States. And many of them never received their homes and their businesses back. So Americans have constantly heard that we must be afraid of Asians, no matter what country they came from. And thanks to Jai for really helping us see the expanded view of Asians, that Asians are Filipinos, they're Afghans, they're, Zishan would be considered Asian, who spoke to us a moment ago. And we have been taught hatred, especially toward the Chinese, because they are rising economically as a world power. And we must not forget the Vietnam War, where many Americans today served in Vietnam, and they came home with hateful stereotypes. After 9/11, the Sikh temple, not just in Wisconsin, as was in the film, but right here in Syracuse, just north of us in Mexico, was burned to the ground. And now we are facing hate because the COVID virus has been dubbed the Chinese flu, which is inappropriate and wrong. We have to know our history, we have to understand why it came about, and see the wrong that it's in it. Recognize, first and foremost, that you are being manipulated by a hate agenda against Asian people, and refuse to accept this. Take a pledge to say, I will not accept hate towards Asians or towards any people. And I will not be a part of the separation of one people against another people. I will not participate in that kind of hurt. And I would say it's very important to deliberately be in relationship with people who are of Asian heritage. And if you don't know people, then join with one of the groups that you've heard from tonight and get to know Asian people, hear their stories, read books by Asian authors. Stop using terms like Oriental. Orientals are vases and rugs, not people. Learn the language that is offensive and choose not to use it. I was recently corrected because I was using the term Afghani to talk about the people. And people said to me, no, that is incorrect. The word is Afghan. We have to be willing to learn and to change. We have to be willing to be changed by what we learn and by what we hear. So make friends, attend events, and embrace the human side that is in everyone, not the external and cultural differences. Embrace that human person that is right at the center of all of that. And I have a very quick story to tell that came out of a dialogue that took place between an Italian-American man on the north side and the Vietnamese, Cambodian, and Laotian community. He joined a dialogue to learn about the people because he could not understand why all these immigrants were coming to his neighborhood. And he didn't like that they were coming and living in large numbers in the same apartments. And so we sat down together and we had a dialogue for 12 months. And he participated and he talked a lot and he was very angry and he didn't understand what was happening to his neighborhood. And he was part of a group of people who were trying to prevent the Vietnamese, Cambodians, Laotians, and Hmong from getting business licenses, which is another form of oppression of people. And then he began to hear people's stories. He listened to stories like Tai's story of having to run and get on a boat, coming down the whole landmass, running down the Ho Chi Minh Trail to get out and to find safety. And he started to reflect and be very quiet. And I finally said, "Joe, what's happening to you? You're not talking tonight." And he said, my family ran up the boot of Italy to get away from Mussolini, just like they've run down their country to get out of their country. And when we can help people see that our stories are similar stories, and that our hate for each other is based in something external and not real, he finally said, I sent my sons to Vietnam. I went to Korea. I had all of these things in my head about who Asian people are. And now I have sat down with people and I've learned about them, and I will never again do that. And he owned a shoe store on the north side. And very soon after that, he started inviting people to apply for jobs and to become, employees of his who were Asian people. And one last thing, many things happened. He invited the Chinese dragon dancers to come to the Strawberry Festival. And he and his Italian counterparts went to the Tet New Year at the Vietnamese Center and had turkey set down right next to, Chinese noodles. And, there was this whole growing up together. And he said, I will never participate in that again. And he finally called me one day and he said, we're having the Miss Little Italy contest. I wonder if you think an Asian girl should ever be Miss Little Italy. And I said, well, Joe, what do you think? And he said, I think it should be any girl who lives in the North Side neighborhood, and not just Italian girls. And do you know that year they elected a young lady who was of Vietnamese descent to be Miss Little Italy? This is how we end hate. And so I want to encourage us to continue to have these relationships, have these conversations, fall in love with each other, because we're all human. So thank you for letting me kind of get on my soapbox and tell the story. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful evening with all of you. Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you, Beth.
Beth, can I say something, Beth? Thank you so much for telling that story, because that young lady is very successful now. And matter of fact, I was sponsoring that lady who won. If you look at the picture, you will see that my name across her tassel, that I sponsored that one young lady.
That's wonderful.
Thank you for the story, Beth.
Wonderful.
And again, you never cease to amaze us, Beth, that you have wonderful stories, because you're right in the community and you know those characters and you have seen them, how they grow. And I was part of the dialogue circles myself for years, and we have seen people coming from all different backgrounds, but they spend whole 6 months together and learn from one another. That is one of the reasons we built the friendship in the first place, that we can build friendships sitting down together, hear from one another, write our addresses and emails, and continue conversations. So again, hopefully we'll be back to our center next year and have those great conversations together again. We also have another speaker that we heard a little bit before during the award ceremony, but now we'd like to now have Zisan James from the other rights community to do his closing remarks, because they are also, as I said, serving in a wonderful ways that whatever a family need as an Asian community, they are there to help them, especially the refugee and immigrant community. Just about 2 days ago, the Halio insurance company called me thinking I am the right center with the health services, that can you help this family? They said they are from, I believe, Iraq, I believe, I'm not remembering, but this family could not get any kind of health services, and the Helio company couldn't help them because they were not on the papers. They didn't have any kind of a refugee status or something like that, but they knew RISE would help them. So I let them connect with Zishan, and now they'll be able to get some kind of a community health support over there. But it is what they do. They do on a daily basis to support them. So I'd like to now have them do another closing remark for us for about how we can stop this hatred for the Asians and build a better community together.
Thank you again. And I think this is a wonderful forum we have here, starting with Tim, Jay Subedi, and Tai Shaw, and the legend Beth Broadway. I'm here representing refugee and immigrant self-empowerment. It was formerly Somali Bantu, refugees working for refugees. And it's a sign that how they help people. I'm an immigrant. I'm not American yet. I'm Asian American, and my administration wanted me to represent refugee and immigrant RISE here at this forum, and to share how loved we are. And it's the hate is around, but the wonderful people sitting on this forum has killed that. I remember when I was departing from interfaith work, Beth sang a song. I will not push her, drag her into this. We are going, heaven knows where we are going. I remember those words, and it's amazing. It's very powerful. And she knows the history. I have recorded it. I will launch someday with the music. So we are going, heaven knows where we are going, with hate, with love on the both sides. It's everywhere. It's not just in US, it's everywhere. But the topic we are talking about, Stop Asian Hate, I think Tai has highlighted wonderful, amazing thing. It can be, my hands have two colors. It's this side is darker, this side is pink, or whatever you say. So, but it's one arm, it's one hand. So that's how we all are. We all look different, but we serve the same purpose. I called asylees, refugees, and immigrant as arm. You see, asylees for A, R is for refugees, M is for immigrant, and we are the arm of US now. So we need to value these people coming. They are the workforce now. I was trusted when I was volunteering at Interfaith Work. Somebody saw my talent. Somebody gave me opportunity. They knew I'm new to America. I'm a new American, but I have served somewhere else. So I don't see myself as new American or Asian American. I feel more American because I grew up and I decide my nationality. I don't take it for granted. I was born here, so I'm American. I was born in Pakistan, so I'm Pakistani. I was born in Turkey. No, we who are in this forum as immigrant in US, especially I'm talking about the CNY and the Onondaga County, we chose it to America to be our new nationality, our new identity. So we are more privileged and we are more American than anybody else. So it's not new American or Asian American, we are Americans. So we value that. And people like on this forum, we will together kill this thing. We are not going to do anything harsh, anything harm, but we can talk, we will do the dialogues to change the mindset and know more people and know more cultures. Travel gives you a lot of knowledge. Since pandemic, you cannot travel, but you can meet the people who look different, who talk differently, who are performing things different way. We can sit together, we can talk and know. So when we sit together, you will not see where is the hate in Onondaga County, where is the hate in CNY County and CNY area. So we have worthy speakers, worthy people around us who are always willing to support the refugees, asylees, and migrants coming from different culture and supporting that. So it's time that we talk about the people who are willing to give back to the community, like who have grown, who have seen those hardships. Now they are grown up. They have that wound is there. but it is healing. And they are just helping more people not to get. I just saw something in the chat going on, and I know there'll be a solution for that. Somebody will help him. Tai will be there. Jay Subedi is there. Beth is there. Tim Saka is there. So I'm working with this group, and they were Somali Bantus. They were, again, neglected community within their own community, and how they are rising. It's amazing. I remember that another song, we went to see that launch. We are rising. It's amazing. It's really powerful. Yes, we all are rising. We need to help each other and reject this hateism. It's every religion. We can quote from religion. We can quote from ideologies. Hate has no room. It never had played any positive role. So it's always love. So love your neighbor, love your enemy. That's what we preach, and we need to practice what we are preaching and what is preached. So it's time now. We need to stand up and help those who are. I remember one day Beth was telling, she said, I will stop the car whenever a policeman will hold some person of color, and I will stop my car to see what's going on. So I think we all need to do such kind of activity. When we see somebody is oppressed or depressed, we need to be their hands. We need to be their voice. We need to be their ears, so we can help people come out of this, because there is no room for hate. That's a period. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zishan. I appreciate it. And as you mentioned, love, that we love everybody on this forum and everything they have done. I see that kind of a love kind of a resonates with a lot of people out there, that it's like a light keep illuminating in different parts of the community. So we are so grateful again, everything you guys have been doing, and it's just so amazing. All of those people, somehow their lives cross the interfaith works somehow. It's like a little training ground there, and then they become bigger and better leaders in the community. So we are so grateful for everything you guys have been doing. So just to be closing for tonight, we have the last closing remarks from one of my colleagues at the OCC campus. His name is Jim Tran, and he's a refugee from Vietnam, and he grew up in California. He went to UCLA and majored in psychology. He received his doctorate degree in cognitive psychology from the University of Oklahoma. He has been teaching at OCC for 5 years, and he's an active member of OCC's Council for Diversity and Inclusion. He was an inspiration for many students on the campus, and the leader for the voice of, especially for the minority community, and bringing the equity and diversity on our campus. So this is my privilege right now to introduce Jim and get his closing remarks for tonight.
Thank you, Tim, and thanks for inviting me to this group of individuals. I'll be short for the sake of time. I'm actually chairing the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month here at OCC, and I want to invite you all to do an event for us. One of the event happens to be Stop Asian Hate. So I'm a recent transplant. I don't have all the knowledge that everyone here has done so much work in the community. So I don't think I would be a great panelist. So I think you would be great panelists for the event. So if you're interested, please let me know. I'd love to invite you. It's all about raising awareness for our students. You guys have so much knowledge, so much history, and our students don't know this. Tim invited me to talk about the Asian American college student experience. And I think it kind of hits them on the side of the head, because they're like, why are we so hated? Like, they don't have this historical background or all these other experiences. They feel like they're being targeted, and unjustly so. So part of the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month is to raise awareness on these issues, raises awareness on the historical significance, as well as other events. Another idea I have is one targeted for like refugees, like the refugee experience, because we have Afghan refugees coming in, but to make that connection. So just generally kind of running ideas, just we're all running, let's stop and take a breath. So I want to invite individuals who are recent refugees, as or have refugee experience, to really share with the community at OCC about their experiences. So yeah, reach out to me. I want to do events with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. And I am also part of that AAPI effort on the community myself, that I'll love to be involved with any kind of activities we do. And those college students are our next generation leaders, that they're gonna become business owners. They're gonna be running nonprofit organizations or serving at the hospitals, and they need to be able to have that contact with the people and have their voice heard. So thank you so much again for your leadership on the campus, supporting the students, and we are so grateful to have all of our panelists tonight coming together. So we are right now coming to the end of our event. It was a wonderful, rich conversation that we have heard from so many wonderful people tonight. And there was also a number of references to the video that we have seen at the beginning of the program. So I think it will be making sense to close the event with that video one more time, because there are so many great examples, real stories, and messages on that video that we can go through. And so we are again so grateful, and we will be having similar events for the upcoming months. That after we come back from the winter break, we will be doing some of the RISE talks that we call that. We will do coffee nights and activities. We'll be doing Ramadan programs for the whole community, so they can join the Muslim members of our society to celebrate their month of Ramadan. We'll be doing the summer picnics. We are also working right now to do like a public servants appreciation night. So there'll be many more coming. So please keep in touch with us. You can send us an email and we can put you into our email list. That we'll be happy to be in touch with you. And also our ladies club is quite active, that they do panel discussions and they do cooking classes and breakfast conversations and things like that. So it is all about efforts and making friendships together over there. So we are again grateful for all your support, and let me close tonight with the video, and thank you so much again for coming and joining us for tonight.
On March 16th, 2021, 6 women were among the victims of a horrific shooting in Georgia. They were grandmothers, mothers, daughters, sisters, and wives. They were killed because they were Asian. But anti-Asian violence is not new. It is part of our collective memory.
As the families in Georgia mourn and memorialize the lives of their loved ones, we remember the history of racism our community has faced. In 1875, the Page Act passes, banning Chinese women from entering the United States. It's the first federal law to limit immigration.
In 1882, the Chinese Exclusion Act passes, prohibiting Asian immigrants from becoming U.S. citizens. Its discriminatory practices survive for over 80 years. In 1885, 28 Chinese Americans are lynched and murdered in Rock Springs, Wyoming.
1930. Across California, hundreds of Filipino American farm workers injured and scores killed by rioters. 1942. 120,000 Japanese Americans incarcerated in concentration camps by our own government.
1982. Vincent Chin beat to death by 2 men with a baseball bat right before his wedding. Mistaken for being Japanese, accused of stealing their jobs. 1989, 5 Vietnamese and Cambodian children killed, more than 30 wounded. Stockton, California.
In the wake of September 11, 2001, attacks against Muslims and South Asians surge. 2012, 6 Sikh Americans killed in a temple in Oak Creek, Wisconsin.
This past year, almost 4,000 incidents of anti-Asian violence, including murders of our elders simply walking in their own neighborhoods.
Memory is the antidote to death. Solidarity is the answer to silence.
As activist Valerie Kaur once asked, what if this is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb?
Today, we birthed something new, knowing it's up to all of us to keep each other safe and shine a light together.
Thank you so much